friends and families around the world. Welcome to another edition of Our Kids Play Hockey. I am Lee Elias, as always, joined by two of my very good friends, Christie Burns and Mike Benelli. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to inspire your kids to play hockey when there is no ice. Now, the inspiration for this episode came out of something I remember from when I was a child. My mother was listening to the radio, and Wayne Gretzky, some of you might know who that is, was on the radio, and a caller called in and said, how do I get my kid to practice? I want my kid to practice more. And I remember that Wayne Gretzky said, my mother told me this, that he said, well, I can't make your kid practice. I can't tell your kid to practice. They have to want to practice. And I'll always remember that because it's also connected with a story about my father, that when I was about 13, 14 years old, I used to like my dad to tell me to go outside and practice. And I remember one day he just came outside and he looked at me and says, if you want to be a great hockey player, you won't need me to tell you to practice. You'll just do it. And that was a real turning point for me in my career. But learning to be inspired. That's why we use the word in the title of this episode, to inspire your kids to practice, not force them to practice. Now, before we get into it, we have some really pressing information and news that we have to get into. Two of the three of us are now wearing hats. I know why I wear my hat, but Christy, what is with the hat today? I mean, it looks great, but that's
right.
Character for you.
Well, I thought we'd have a hat trick, first of all, with the three of us wearing hats, so that didn't work.
Yeah, so no memo from Mike. Sorry. That's just the
Darn.
way.
But my daughter is taking classes, college classes, and Zooming. And I was running the hairdryer, and all of a sudden the door opens, and I get yelled at by my kid. Mom, I'm trying to have a class here. Shut that off. I got yelled at by my kid. When does that ever happen? It just happened.
Never.
That's so depressing.
That's going to flow right into today's episode.
So I'm like, all right, we're just gonna throw the hat on.
It looks great. Listen, this is a hockey mom type show, hockey dad show, and like you just dressed the part today. Mike, on your end.
I gotta be honest with you. With those 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m. games, this is the look. You don't have time to do your hair. Just throw the hat on. You're out the door.
You just need a cup of coffee right now. Right?
Yes.
Look, like I said, Mike, my advice to you real quick is you have all that hair. Keep the hat off as long as you can. All right. So what you just did, I can't do. For those of you listening at home, he can put his fingers through his hair. I remember that feeling, but it's been extinct for a while. So anyway, let's jump right into the episode here. Again, it's inspiring your kids to practice when there is no ice. And again, this goes through with the idea that practice cannot be forced. It must be inspired. That's a hallmark of good coaching, good parenting, and also good hockey, right? So we're going to split the topic up into two different sections today. One is going to be the youth level, which is basically ages 12 and down. And then we're also going to talk about it from the young adult level, being 18 and down, because after that, obviously, they're in college or beyond. And the idea is you have to find where your kid fits on this. Obviously, when you get in those tween years, with puberty and maturity, your kid could jump up or down depending on where they're at in their life. But the idea is to give you the best information we could possibly give you and hopefully start a conversation that everybody gets involved. So number one, when you're looking at the youth level, again, this is ages 12 and down. And Mike, I'm going to turn to you about this. Above all, it's about making it fun, right? So, odds are right now, if your rinks are closed or, if you're listening to this at a time period where it's just, off season, your kid's probably playing Nintendo or playing video games, potentially in the house a lot, right? It's just that's a kind of a hallmark of a lot of kids today. Hopefully your kids want to be outside, but to get them outside, no kid, including when I was a kid, wants to hear like, hey, get up and get outside and go play. All right. Like now that might've worked at one point, but the idea is you have to inspire them. So Mike, what are some of the things you can do to make hockey fun outside, both in an individual and a group setting that might inspire your kids to go outside? Hey, let's go build an obstacle course. Let's go try this training aid. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, that's me every day, right? Get outside. I mean, and I think because I come from a different, we could get, when we grew up and certain generations grew up, there wasn't, I mean, you literally get bored, even with video games. I mean, there's only I can go back to Atari, right? Or at the end of the day, it got boring because there's only so much. But now these kids, they don't get bored. They could literally be in a video world that just goes and goes and goes and goes forever. So I think, that point of older and younger, fun environments, challenging environments. I know with my kids and the kids that I coach, I always tried to say, well, I bet you couldn't do this, or I bet you couldn't do that.
Right.
And let's see you try it. Or, like us, we bought inspired by one of my older son's trainers, we bought a slack line, and just adding that little piece to the property and having to go outside and do something different than hockey or sports was just a great opportunity, trying to bring the jungle gym to home. And depending on where you live, you got to find creative ways to do that. I know, like with my kids and the younger guys, we play a lot of the floor is lava, or there's all kinds of neat things you can do that I think one of the pieces too with the younger kids, you probably have to get involved in it too.
Absolutely. Yeah. That was actually something I was going to ask and suggest and kind of turn to Christie for, is that, it's really easy to always say to your kids, hey, go outside and go do something. But the truth is as a parent, this is a coach too, but really as a parent, if you get involved, especially in the younger ages, again, we're not talking right now about the teenage rebellion years, just the younger ages, create that obstacle course, get involved. The kids typically want to play with you and show you what they can do. I always say too that, gamify the game, right? Use video game time. Like I'm not anti-video game. I'm actually pro video game. I don't have a problem with my kids playing games, but I do use it as a reward. Hey, if you come outside for 30 minutes, we play a game outside, it'll be really fun. You can get rewarded with some time on your Nintendo. But Christie, turning to you, is from a parental standpoint, I think that Mike's right on in saying that, as parents, mothers and fathers, we should get involved with finding ways to inspire our kids.
Yeah. If you have the right climate, I would definitely encourage you to build an outdoor rink. It's so fun. You'll never get your kids inside.
Right.
But so like I kind of look around and see what you can use to go ahead and build that obstacle course. That's a lot of fun. Mike had some great ideas there. Go for a walk around the neighborhood.
Right.
I know our village here in East Syracuse does a rink every year. It looks like they might put one up again. That's a great way to bond with other kids in the neighborhood too, and teach them how to skate. They always look for my kids for lessons, which is really fun. And then it doesn't feel like you're,
right.
Working with practicing, and you're getting in your skating elements. So, but just don't feel alone right now, because every parent out there is struggling with this. And I think there's some solace in knowing that you are not alone here. And so turn to other parents in your hockey league and ask them for ideas as well. Another great idea is to use the tools that you have on your iPhone and your laptop and get together a virtual team meeting and team exercise plan. That would be really fun.
Yeah, here's something I was going to say is, in this time period, there are no shortage of affordable, number one, and intuitive training aids or options so that you can recreate the game in some form at your house. So, Christie, you had suggested making a rink. That does not have to break the bank anymore. There's a lot of solutions out there. And again, I'm not going to plug anybody specifically, but there's a lot of cost-effective solutions where you could build a mini hockey rink in a very small space and have it be really, really fun for your kids. Now, with that said, there's also solutions to play outside. Make it fun. I used to do drills with kids where, and again, people thought I was crazy about this at the time, but it's actually quite good for skill development, where I'd make them puck handle with a ball up a grass hill.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right. And people would go, where's that's nothing like ice. I'm like, no, it's not. That's exactly right. It is tough to get a ball up a grass hill. So the kids have to work on their hand-eye coordination and being strong on the ball, or on the puck, if you will, right, to get up a terrain that they've never been up before. The skill sets that translated to the ice came out of nowhere. There's so many fun things. Another fun one that I like to do that I've actually done with older kids is, I like coffee, right? So, when we could kind of freely go, and you can still do this, I'd say to them, listen, grab your stick and ball. I'm going to get a coffee, and you're going to follow me and stick handle the whole way to the coffee shop. And at first they kind of got it like the whole way, like people are going to look at me. I'm like, yeah, we're just going to go down the sidewalk to the coffee shop. I'm going to order my coffee. You're going to stick in. Sometimes I'd even do it with them and bring my stick with me. And it was just something else, but they were playing and they're having fun.
Right.
I'm not even thinking.
And your empty cans, like coffee cans or whatever, we would hang them on the nets,
right,
and they'd use them as targets.
Yeah,
which is
Right.
really fun too.
Yeah,
There's
I think
no
Christie,
lack of
I think
options.
Christie made it. I think Christie made a really great point earlier and it really resonates with me as a parent, is that you are not alone. Like, we're all dealing with the same thing. So when I
Right.
say, "Oh, I can't believe I can't get my 7-year-old to go outside," and you'll have 15 parents say, "Yeah, me either." Like, I can't get him to go outside either,
Right.
because it just becomes, almost outside play almost becomes boring too, because they're by themselves.
Right.
And you've got to find a way, through COVID or through any kind of social distancing, you can still find ways to get the kids into active situations together, whether it's in a Zoom class. At least there's a little bit of activity there. We have a parent in our community that just started like these pop-up floor hockey games up at the park, and say, "Hey,
Right.
at 5 o'clock today, I'm off work early. Anybody wants to come up, 12-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 7-year-olds." And these and kids are great at that. They find a way to work with each other and have fun and include each other. But we have to find ways to make it fun, inspire them, get outside, and at the end of the day, just be around other people. And I think when kids are with other kids, they find ways to inspire themselves as well.
Well, and I'll say this, it's a quick story before we transition to the next half of the episode. And again, this is not selling here, but Mike knows this, Christie knows this. We launched a youth initiative at Wraparound, okay, to help kids get outside during the pandemic, and it's funny because they shut the rinks down where my kid plays. And I offered the team wraparounds for every kid just so we can continue to practice. And it was funny because the coach and the general manager were all like, "Hey, that's really nice of you. Yeah, that's great." Before we even could offer it to the team, and this is what I love about parents, right? The parents had already grouped together to keep practices going outside on their own.
Wow.
Right? Like, they had already taken the initiative to do that. And this was a bonus, which is great. But the kids are still practicing outside, which is, to be honest with you, probably safer than doing it inside. Right. And they love it. And they're all together. And again, you got to remember, when we're talking about the youth levels, the objective is not so much make them great hockey players. It's just, let's get the kids moving and healthy and outside, and build some fundamental skill sets for sports in life, right? And teams are accomplishing that. So to echo, obviously, what both of you said now, yeah, you're not alone here, right? There is unlimited information online about things you can do if you want to do it individually or with your kid. And then there's probably a lot of opportunities within your own teams if you just ask. That whole situation started because one of the parents just said, "Hey, how can we keep this going?" And they all work together. I'm always amazed by parents in youth organizations, because they really can move the moon if they want to. You know what I mean? Especially if you have to work a little bit outside the constraints of your organization during this time, because they have liability things that they have to look at, about keeping kids together. But again, at the youth level, the kind of 12 and down level, there really is no shortage of what you can do. Now, when we transition to the young adult level, 18 down to about 12, this is where things change a little bit. All right. Because I don't have a kid that age yet, but I know, better than to say, "Oh, just tell them to go outside."
Yeah, just go ahead. Yeah. You have time.
Yeah. Good luck with telling a teenager what they should or should not be doing. But the idea is that at that age, my belief is, and I know this from being that age before, obviously, is, look, they have to have the will to practice on their own. Right. And the question is, what can you do to do that? And again, at that age, it's about fundamentals, but also building basic, muscle memory and making sure that they're having the tools that they need to go outside and do that. So, Christie, I wanted to start with you because you have the kids kind of closest to that age. Mike, your kids are about to be at that age. But what were some of the things that your kids did, or that you felt maybe that you built in your kids, that when they were that age, they continued to practice? Because your kids have had nice hockey careers.
Yeah, they have. On our off time, I would skate with them. So we would skate as a family, which made
That's
it
cool.
fun.
Yeah.
And great memories. And I would let them go ahead and snow me. And they just love doing that, and let them teach me how to stick handle. And it really it made it so that it didn't feel like it was, "Oh, Mom's making me go out and practice." Mom's with me.
Right.
And, and we're like having a lot of fun making her look really bad out here on the ice and trying to teach her something, so that I let them become the teachers. Well, how do you shoot? Like, how do you stick handle? So now and then they kind of show off a little bit, which is great, but it just becomes a really fun weekend out. and
Right.
great memory for you and the kids. I mean, there's great bonding there. And then you kind of learn some empathy for what they go through too. Boy, I'm a figure skater, and I thought, oh, hockey skates, that can't be that much more difficult. I fell flat on my face. I don't know how you
Yeah.
guys
No toe
skate
pick.
on those
Yeah.
skates.
Yeah.
I couldn't do my spin. I couldn't jump. I couldn't do a toe loop. There was nothing I could do. So I have a lot of respect for hockey players now. And to skate and to handle a stick at the same time, it's amazing.
Right.
So it really opened my eyes as to how difficult and how skilled you have to be to do what they do. And I found myself, I was looking at an old video when my son first started playing hockey, and I had the video camera going, and I couldn't believe how much I was yelling at him. And then I noticed when that changed is after they took me out and showed me how hard it was. And all of a sudden I became less of a critic and more of a parent who really appreciated what it took to do what they're doing.
Right.
So it helped me grow as a parent too, and appreciate their skill as hockey players. So put yourselves in their skates sometime. It's not that easy.
No, I think that's phenomenal advice. I've had so many parents tell me that have older kids, or they're not kids anymore, right? They're kids or adults, and they've always told me you have to cherish that time because it just goes so fast and you don't get it back. And I hear a regret in a lot of parents that maybe didn't do what you just said, which was take the time to go out with them, and make it fun where they want to, get in the net, get some goalie pads and get in the net.
Oh my gosh, they would love that.
Right.
And
I think I'm speaking more to the parents now, but that is a solution's not the right word, but that is a quality time that you're not going to get back. And I'm keenly aware of that, even though I have younger kids. Right. But so many parents, coaches have told me that embrace that time. Your kids might not get it, but you will when it's happening. And I think also, it can be tough sometimes. Kids in the teenage years, they want to do what they want to do. But like you said, they might roll their eyes, but they went out with you. And I think that, Christie, that's such a valuable lesson. Now Mike, turning to you, again, your kids are kind of entering that time period. And we've had a lot of conversations about the famous or infamous Eyeroll, but you still seem to do a pretty good job of getting them to kind of at least get out there and go. What are some of the tactics or stories that you've been dealing with?
So currently now I'm coaching a 14U, pretty much boys team, and they're, they don't Eyeroll as much, but I get enough of them. But I think there's still the need, right, for teenage boys and girls. They want to be around their peers. They want direction. I believe that they don't want, if the old adage, right, if your coach stops yelling at you, and you've talked about this earlier, Lee, right, if that coach is not driving you and forcing you out and just shunning you, that's a bad sign. That just means that that means you're not inspiring the coach. And I think I try to look for that in all my players, giving them peer opportunities. We do a ton of Zoom classes together. I don't I'll get a lot of emails from parents. Oh, is this mandated? Like, is this optional? I go, listen, all practices are optional. Like, nobody's forcing a 14-year-old to come to practice. You don't ever have to do anything, but it's being offered. And I find more than not, to your point about that age, Lee, that the kids that have to have some semblance of wanting to do it, they will put down the phones. They'll put down the video games. They'll go out with their teammates, and they'll see the Zoom class or up at the park or wherever they are. It's an age group, 12 to 18. It's the transitions. It's the, okay, let me get up, let me go. But once they're there,
they're in it.
I think you really see an inspirational group of kids, and that's what I try to bring. I try to bring new programming, fun skills, challenges, and consistency. Say, guys, I know we're shut down, we're off the ice, but that doesn't mean you just go, sit on the couch. It means let's find alternate ways so that when we get ice back or you've transitioned to a new season, you're up and running. And it's not always just hockey either. We do a lot of just athletic training, and right now we're asking all the kids to learn how to juggle. and little things like
that's
that
fun.
where they probably would. Who has the time to do this kind of stuff, right? So,
Yeah, that's very true.
Good things to try different activities and find different skill sets within your game.
Right. You want to try and keep that fire alive in your kids, and it's really challenging now because oh my goodness, with everything shut down, and you don't want to be around large crowds. Like even
for us too, right, Christie? I mean,
yeah,
it's
you
easy to
too.
say
Yeah.
to you, it's easy to say, just go play Xbox, or it's hard because parents are worn out too.
Right.
And me, I hate Zoom. I mean, I hate the not connecting with the players. I was actually making a comment the other day. I was doing a practice and we have to wear the full masks. And I like smiling. I want to, and maybe my personality is like, it's a little, sarcastic, but if they don't see you smile, it changes the whole way you teach. So I think having the opportunity to talk with your players, get them in a room, working with them, seeing you interact with them is hugely important. And, but Christie, we have to do that too, right? We have to be the parent to jump in there. Even if you can't do it, you need to be able to say, I'm going to take my time to make sure that, you are on the Zoom class, that your phone is charged, that the internet's working, and get outside and be with your teammates.
Right. I like what my daughter, just for those not familiar, she's a college hockey player. And I really have to admire, I mean, they come from all over the country. So how do you keep those kids connected, and how do you keep them energized, and how do you keep their spirits up, and how do you keep them hopeful that someday they're going to get out on the ice? And they do weekly have a team meeting virtually. Right. And I noticed after that meeting, Sophia comes out feeling so much more positive. So even on a smaller scale with your teams, your tween teams, and even the younger ones, I really do think the virtual meetings can help keep them bonded.
Big time.
And
Big time.
And then you share stories, and you share tricks of the trade. What are you guys doing to keep your skills up? I think that can be really helpful if you can somehow organize that, especially now when everything being shut down, to stay connected.
Well, it's structure, right? I think that's kind of the big thing I'm taking away from this section is providing structure, right? It's easy to be lazy when there's no structure. And I think everyone knows that now, as we transition into the modern world, as we head towards the new world. But Mike, you made a great point. Like you're the coach. So obviously you have the ability to do this, but for parents, inspire your coaches, create some structure. Hey, on Mondays, we have meetings. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're going to have a practice just like we did before. Create that structure, that routine for the kids. And again, parents, if you're not the coach, call the coach. And the coach might say to you, hey, why don't you organize that? And that's great. You've got the opportunity.
You think about it. Not a lot of coaches are, not everybody is getting on the computer and figuring out, okay, I got my Zoom class and here's how my camera works. And here's how how many times have you heard in the last 6 months, you're on mute, you're muted. So I think this is like the saying of the 2020, right? But I think the bottom line is, this goes right back to everything we talk about why our kids are playing hockey and what we can do as parents to help them have a great experience. If you're somebody that's savvy with this, if you're a parent that does this for a living, tell the coach. I've had my parents do the same thing. They call me, Mike, we'll set it up. Here's a Zoom link. All you have to do is log in. Right. We'll make sure all the kids are on. We'll make sure we'll mute them all. We'll kind of produce it. And that's really invaluable. Or sending out little clips and videos of challenges, and then parents sharing that with each other, because the kids, at the end of the day, you still want competition. Right. So I think the ability to say, hey, listen, Michael was out there doing figure eights and he did 27 of them in a minute. How many can you do? Right. And send me the video. And the kids are more savvy with that than anyone. I mean, it's true. They know how to use the camera. And, edit it.
The challenges are great, and they're so fun to watch, and it really kind of helps them push their skill level a little bit too.
Right. And
everybody gets on. I know everybody gets on the fact that you'll hear all the critics like, oh, his head's down the whole time, or they're doing stuff that doesn't look like the game. I go, give me a break. I said, just what doesn't look like the game? Laying on your couch doesn't look like the game. I mean, just get out, juggle, with the puck, and Get your hockey wraparound out there and shoot 1,000 pucks. Do something within the constraints that you have in your environment. If you live in an apartment, then maybe you got to find different ways to do it. If you live in a big, expansive, compound, find different ways to do it. But I think, Christie, you said it earlier, just find the way to put these kids in a situation where they can be active and encourage them. They want to be encouraged. They'll roll their eyes. They'll moan and groan. They'll say, "Oh, don't worry, I'm going to go out in my flip flops and it's 30 degrees out." And every parent's going to say, "I wouldn't do that. You're going to get sick," right? But they do it anyway. But just get out and I don't mean get out of the house. I mean get out, get up, and get the blood flow.
Yeah.
I mean, these are unprecedented times. So we're learning as we go along. And trust me, we're not experts here. We're just bouncing some ideas off each other. And again, I would love to hear from other parents, if they can, in the comments section, share their ideas, share their strategies that work. That's how it's going to work. If we all kind of work together and bounce each other's ideas off. And I mean, there's some ideas out there, I'm sure, that we're not even thinking of.
Oh, absolutely.
That's why
I'm going to get Lee to call my son up, right? Because he's not going to listen to me. I could be his coach. I'm going to say, if Lee calls him up and says, "Michael, I bet I need you to do this." Guess what? He's going to do it.
He's going to do it.
And as a coach, I want the parents to lean on me for that. I want them saying, "Hey, Mike, if you, it's great because when you send out that Zoom link or you tell the kids they have to do something, they do it." And you'll get the funny thing like, "Hey, can you tell my kid to make his bed?" Or can you tell him to, because they'll listen to you.
Yeah.
But your own kid, it's like the shoemaker's kids, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
what would you know, Dad? What would you know?
What do you know? You don't know anything. I go, okay. Right. Well, if Coach Lee calls you, will you listen to him? Of course, I'll listen to him.
Yeah. You can do that. Can you do that?
Yeah, right. I would say to Christie, you're absolutely right. You find a way, structure. Find a way to get people to motivate your kids. Yeah. And if it's not you that can't do it, fake it, hide it. Get somebody else to interact. Right. And they'll listen, right? I do that with my kids all. I mean, I heard your teacher. I'm gonna have to call her up. No, don't do that. Don't do that. I'll get it done.
I think overall, right? The one of the key points I think the three of us are coming to today is that as parents, take an active role in finding a way to help your kids, right? Again, to inspire them. I want to keep saying that. You can't force people to do anything, right? If you want good results, I should say that. I mean, I guess you can force them to go outside, but you want to inspire them so they want to keep coming back. And as parents, we have to take an active role in doing that. It's not enough just to say, "Hey, go outside," I think a lot of the time. I think another thing too is network. Talk with other parents. People have been coaching their kids in hockey for hundreds of years. All right. Especially in modern times, it's easier than ever. That's one of the reasons we created this podcast, so that we can get ideas from other parents. You're not alone. That's something Christie said earlier. That's absolutely true. It is the whole, reason we created this. The other thing too, I wanted to say real quick is too, why do kids play video games? Because they're fun. They're fun. It's a game. So just emulate that behavior. Make it fun. Get in the goalie pads. Get off the figure skates and get in the hockey skates, as Christie said. Get involved with your kids. Make it fun. Here's the other thing too. The younger you do that, the more chance you'll be able to do it when they're a little bit older. I know there's kids out there that are insanely stubborn, and it's probably very hard to talk to them. And like I said, every kid's different. But inspire. Again, I'll go back to that story at the very beginning of the episode I talked about, where I loved to practice and play. But I remember my dad saying to my face, "If you love this and you want to do something with it, you'll do it on your own. You don't need me to tell you to practice." And it was a game changer for me. I mean, something snapped in me that day. And what's funny? I told him, "Dad, you're right. I still want you to come out and watch though, and play." And he did. He did. It was just a fundamental change in the reasoning behind it, if you will. So, I always tell people that story because, that's how I knew that hockey was a real thing to me. And again, that's a little bit of an older story. And then a youth story, again, just have fun with your kids, right? Yeah. This is an opportunity. The pandemic is a weird opportunity.
I use the analogy all the time in my clinics when I talk to coaches that are both parents. Said, you want your son to stop, or daughter to stop playing video games? sit down and play video games with them and coach them through the video game. Sit down and go,
I'm
going to take the controller. No, you got to go to the back door. No, there's a secret passageway. How'd you miss that secret passage? No, and then, they're going to be like, I don't want to play with you. This stinks. like you're coaching me. And and we have to think the same way, right? When the kids go outside, you can't make everything a skill session.
Right.
It has to be inspiring and fun. Like I'll even, we have a big enough of a driveway where we can move the car out of the way and use the chalk, the driveway chalk, and make all these different obstacle courses and jumping areas and ladders and create, Fortnite on the front driveway.
Right.
And I know my son, that's a good way for me to connect with him because that's what he really likes to do. So let's really like to do it and breathing air, let's just get outside. And I think, again, that's probably me more old school. Like I can hear it in my head right now every day. Get outside, get outside.
Right.
And
and as they get older, I'm going to tell you guys this because I'm a little embarrassed, but true confession time. So I put on some weight. I'm one of the many people who've put on some pandemic pounds, and I've been really kind of upset about it and depressed. And I confessed that to my daughter. And the other day she said, Mom, I'm going to help you. Really? I don't want to exercise. I said, it's so boring. Oh, I can't stand it. She goes, we're going to make it fun. I'm like, what?
There you go.
She got us big exercise ball. She got some fun weights, and she came up with this whole routine for me and taught me how to do what she's learned all these years through her off-ice training. And I got to be honest with you, it didn't feel like a job. It felt like it was really fun.
There you go.
So all this good training that you're using and teaching your kids right now, it's going to come back and pay off in dividends when you're old like me.
What's that saying? The parent becomes the child and the child becomes the parent, right?
That's it.
It goes
I'm so excited. I've got a personal
Don't speed that up too much, but yeah.
Well, I think that's a great
thing you can
great
do with
note.
your kids is if they're in the gym and they're working out, ask them to, hey, can you teach me a few things? And then you're both kind of benefiting.
No, we just started doing Star Wars yoga. Like it was great. This is because he likes that. He just likes. Well, it's just yoga.
The cosmic yoga, the
all around the Star Wars theme. I'm like, this is weird. Like
I don't lightsaber out.
But you do lightsabers.
It's cosmic yoga. I know exactly what you're talking about, Mike.
But if a 7-year-old loves doing that, and I'm just like, this is actually hard. I can't do this. I'm gonna have to take a break here. But again, Christie, that's the point though, right? Get in there and sometimes you got to fake it. But at the end of the day, if I get yelled at all the time, I'll yell at my kids about going out and say, Dad, you're literally texting on your phone while you're yelling at me to get outside. I'm like, okay, well,
got me on that one. Yeah.
Bam.
So we have to think. We have to think about that as well. But I love the idea of if you're home with your kids, incorporating that into your training. And get out there with them and do what they want to do, and they'll inspire you too.
I think that's a great note to end this on. And like I said, a lot of great ideas, a lot of great thoughts out of this episode about inspiring your kids to get outside. And it sounds like we came that your kids can inspire you to get outside as well.
I'm ready to go now. I think I got to go home and tell them to go out. Let's go.
Yeah, I think we're off to them like that.
May the force be with you.
Yeah, again, this show's right up my alley. But no, we hope you enjoyed this episode of Our Kids Play Hockey. Again, you can find this episode and every episode that we've done. I think we're up near 10 now at this point on ourkidsplayhockey.com or wherever podcasts are heard. And please check us out on Facebook, Our Kids Play Hockey. You guessed it, that's always going to be the name of it. And check out the group where you can interact with us and other parents and other families out there that are finding ways to experience the game during the pandemic and beyond. So for Christie Casciano-Burns and Mike Benelli, I'm Lee Elias. This has been another great episode of Our Kids Play Hockey, and we will see you next time. Have a great day, everybody.